Chapter 1249. Turning his head back, he saw a red afterimage flashing past his eyes. Her neck felt cold and a faint tingling pain. Zi Qian Shan held the Tianling staff and raised it horizontally in front of her. Clang! The dagger drawn by the glower flame fan collided with the Tianling staff. The stirred-up profound qi made both of them take a few steps back. After Zi Qianqian steadied herself, she waved the staff and struck down another bolt of lightning, separating the distance between her and Yiqing Luo. Zi Qianqian's fingers touched her neck and touched the sticky liquid. Her blood. Yiqing Luo had used her footwork to avoid the lightning released by the Tianling staff and was gradually approaching her. If she hadn't reacted fast enough and avoided it, Yiqing Luo's dagger would have directly cut the tendons in her neck. Zi Qianqian squinted her beautiful eyes and wiped the blood on her neck fiercely as a vicious glint flashed past her eyes. That slut actually wanted to kill her in public. Intense hatred and disgust filled her heart. Zi Qianqian gripped the staff tightly and once again condensed profound qi and injected it into the Tianling staff. A ray of black deathly light immediately shrouded the Tianling staff. Then, at the tip of the staff, the eye that looked like a human's eye blinked continuously. The blinking speed was extremely fast. After blinking for a dozen times, that eye suddenly opened wide and fixed its focus in front. In a split second, a ray of black light shot out from that widened eye. Yiqing Luo was shocked by this force. She frowned and stared at the Tianling staff vigilantly. After that collision with the Tianling staff, Yiqing Luo knew that if she used the glower flame fan and the Tianling staff to fight head-on, the glower flame fan would definitely not be the Tianling staff's opponent. It might cause the glower flame fan to break. This Tianling staff was indeed difficult to deal with. Not only could it attack from afar, it could also be used as a close combat weapon, similar to the glower flame fan. Most importantly, the attack of the Tianling staff was obviously much higher than the glower flame fan. Not only her profound grade, it could not match Zi Qianqian's. The quality of the glower flame fan could not be compared to the quality of the Tianling staff. She similarly could not get close to attack, nor could she attack from afar. The sneak attack earlier had made Zi Qianqian vigilant. It would be very difficult for him to launch another sneak attack. Yiqing Luo, I'd like to see how you're going to hide this time. Zi Qianqian's voice was cold. His words had just ended when he saw the tip of the sky mist staff, one after another black light ball kept on shooting outwards, directly attacking towards Yiqing Luo's direction. One by one, the black balls of light poured out of the magic staff like beans being poured out of a jar. It showed no signs of stopping. Yiqing Luo's brows creased as her feet flashed, speedily evading those black light balls. Just as she steadied herself, she heard Yi Feng Yu's panicked voice from the direction of low profound class 1, "Sister, be careful." What followed were the gasps and gasps of disbelief from the crowd. Yiqing Luo keenly sensed something. He quickly dodged to the right. The black ball of light that she dodged just now brushed past her arm. Yiqing Luo could clearly see that when those black light balls passed by her, they actually made a huge turn in mid-air and attacked her once again. This black ball of light actually locked onto him automatically. Yiqing Luo's pupils dilated as she silently cursed that this Tianling staff was simply abnormal. He could only dodge the attacks from the balls of light. On the other side, Zi Qianqian had already stopped releasing the black light balls. She tightened her grip on the Tianling staff, her face was slightly pale as she swayed her body. Her vision swept across the surroundings. The entire arena had already gathered close to 20 over black light balls, one after another, attacking towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Chapter 1250. Zi Qianqian is despicable. A 7th grade Earth Profound practitioner was actually using the Sky Silk Staff to deal with a 4th grade Earth Profound practitioner. Are you that afraid of losing? What number 1 beauty? I think she's obviously jealous of Yi Qing Luo's beauty, so she thought of such a vicious method to deal with Yi Qing Luo. Bah! What nonsense are you bunch of brainless Yi Qing Luo fans spouting? What does being inferior to others have to do with our number 1 beauty? Our number 1 beauty has the Tian Ling staff, that is also our number 1 beauty's ability. If you have the ability, let Yi Qing Luo also get a Tian Ling staff. The onlookers argued incessantly. Suddenly, a sharp voice joined the discussion. Does Sister Qian Qian need to be jealous of that slut Yi Qing Luo's beauty? Can that little slut compare to our Qian Qian Jie? Sister Qian Qian, what's wrong with using the Tian Ling staff? Why don't you say that Yi Qing Luo that slut's weapon? Isn't it the glower flame fan which the Overlord gave her? Do you think that you can casually control the Tian Ling staff and release its power? If it wasn't for Sister Qian Qian's profound strength being stable, there was simply no way for her to display the might of the Sky Silk Staff. These attacks of the Sky Mish staff are all executed by relying on my Sister Qian Qian's strength. Sentence after sentence of ear-piercing discrimination suppressed Yi Qing Luo's brainless fans. Everyone looked over and saw a faction sitting in a corner. There were about 100 people in the faction's area, and they were all wearing the same clothes. There was a metal pin to their chests, and the word "kill" was engraved on it. Killing God Mercenary Group's territory. The onlookers immediately understood. Zi Qianqian was the vice group leader of the Death God Mercenary Group, so naturally he would speak up for Yi Qing Luo. Executive leader Wei Beilai frowned as he stared fixedly at the battle situation on the stage. To be able to force Qian Qian to take out her Sky Silk Staff, Yi Qing Luo is indeed formidable. What's so great about her? Sister Qian Qian is too lazy to waste time with her, which is why she used the Tian Ling staff to end the battle quickly. Nangong Lin coldly snorted. Nangong Firen scolded her younger sister in a deep voice. The injuries she had suffered in the tomb of the Ling King had actually not allowed Nangong Lin to learn how to grow. Nangong Lin pursed her lips. Although she looked displeased, she didn't say anything else. Only then did Nangong Firen look at the arena again. His eyes reflected the red figure that was constantly running. In this match, even if Qianqian takes out the Sky Silk Staff, I'm afraid it will be very strenuous. As soon as Nangong Firen's voice fell, Nangong Lin's eyes widened in disbelief. Brother, you mean Sister Qianqian will lose? Don't you know Sister Qianqian's strength very well? How could that little bitch beat Sister Qianqian? Nangong Firen cast a sidelong glance at her with a hint of warning in her eyes. Then, she said faintly, the Tian Ling staff consumes too much dark force. Miss Ye's reaction speed is extremely fast and she keeps moving out of the Tian Ling staff's attack range. This is a competition of endurance. Wei Bailey's frown deepened. Since the last time we met that Miss Yi, how much, do you think her strength has increased? Even I am no match for her now, Nangong Firen replied seriously. The last time in Ling Ling King's tomb, their Azura group were tormented by the corpse puppets and king corpses. In the end, only the few of them were left alive. It wasn't because they didn't have enough strength. Otherwise, even they would have died in Ling Ling King's tomb. But under that situation, they knew nothing about Ling Ling King's tomb. Unable to display their skills, they could only listen to Yi Qing Luo's arrangements. At that time, although Yi Qing Luo's arrangements were decisive and neat. But in actual fact, her profound grade was merely mystic profound 8th grade. She had not expected, in less than a month's time, not only did she leap to earth profound 4th grade profound energy outside Ling King's tomb, she had also integrated it into her own body. Apparently, she was doing it with ease. This young lady could really create miracles continuously. The smile on Nangong Firen's lips deepened. Nangong Lin, who was standing by the side, clenched her fists tightly as she pursed her red lips tightly, staring fiercely at Yi-Ching Luo on the stage. Damn slut. Chapter 1251. The students who supported Yi-Ching Luo, as well as the crowd, were all very nervous. Those who supported Zi Qianqian or hated Yi-Ching Luo were also very nervous. The situation on the stage, Yi-Ching Luo was obviously battered and in a disadvantageous position. Those 20 over black light balls had completely locked onto Yi-Ching Luo. No matter which corner Yi-Ching Luo wandered to, those black light balls would chase after her relentlessly. The light balls crashed onto the ground and the entire stage shook. The stage exploded with a loud bang, one after another, deep pit, like a black hole. The surprising thing was, those black light balls which crashed onto the ground, or the side of the stage or the enchantment, didn't explode because of this. Those black light balls, after rebounding, once again followed Yi-Ching Luo's aura and pressed towards her, totally not giving Yi-Ching Luo any chance to take a breather. This situation made the crowd's heart clenched into a bundle of anxiety. Originally, when they saw Yi-Ching Luo easily blocking Zi Qianqian's sword moves, they thought that Yi-Ching Luo would win without any suspense. But they didn't expect Zi Qianqian to have the Tianling staff, and could even use it to attack Yi-Ching Luo. This kind of ups and downs of emotions was really unbearable. Yi-Ching Luo displayed her footwork and ran around the stage for a total of 10 rounds. The black light balls were still following closely behind. Every time the light balls were about to land on her, Yi-Ching Luo was able to evade them. She spent an entire incense's time with the black light balls. The black light balls didn't leave any marks on Yi-Ching Luo's body. Yi-Ching Luo squinted her beautiful eyes as her footsteps moved swiftly. The swoosh swoosh sound behind her seemed to be getting closer and closer to her. She didn't look back, paying attention to the distance between the light balls and herself. Instead, she focused her vision on Zi Qianqian. While avoiding the light balls, she was observing Zi Qianqian's situation. If she didn't guess wrongly, the usage of the Tianling staff required a huge amount of profound energy. Like Zi Qianqian, using the Tianling staff to cast so many locking light balls, the profound energy in his body should have been depleted. Otherwise, Zi Qianqian would definitely not be like this, standing in the middle of the stage, looking at her with a gloomy and vicious look. She, who was being chased by the ball of light, had no way of fighting Zi Qianqian. If she was Zi Qianqian, she would definitely not let go of this opportunity. However, Zi Qianqian did not move. This also meant that Zi Qianqian did not have the ability to attack her now. The corners of Yi-Ching Luo's lips curled into a cold arc as her eyes were filled with charm. She moved her 5 fingers, and the glowing flame fan instantly unfolded. A bewitching red light shot out from his palm. Chapter 1252. Just as the red light was nearing, Zi Qianqian immediately raised her staff and struck it fiercely. That staff and the glowing fan collided. 2 bursts of profound qi intertwined, like streams of airflow, intertwining with each other. The glowing fan maintained its rotation, releasing an oppressive pressure, suppressing the Tianling staff bit by bit. Zi Qianqian only felt that the hand holding the Tianling staff had become numb under the pressure of this rotation. Clang clang, the Tianling staff and the glowing fan contended against each other, once again giving off an ear-piercing collision sound. The black qi of the Tianling staff and the red light of the glowing fan set off a huge airwave, covering the entire arena. Even the surrounding enchantment, because of these 2 bursts of strong profound qi, kept shaking. Zi Qianqian's face turned paler. Releasing the black light ball earlier had already depleted 2/3 of her profound qi. The remaining energy was not enough to withstand the attack of the glowing fan. The Tianling staff was forced by the tremors of the glowing fan's rotation, as it kept pressing downwards. Her arm was feeling numb, unable to hold on to the Tianling staff. Zi Qianqian knew that once the Tianling staff was forced out of her hands, she would definitely lose this match. The Tianling staff was her last resort. No matter what, she had to hang on before Yi Qing Luo was hit by the black light ball. As Zi Qianqian thought about this, the look in his eyes suddenly became fierce. Her other hand held the Tianling staff, gritting her teeth as she surged the last bit of energy in her body. I will let you see the difference between the Tianling staff and the glowing fan. The Tianling staff's body instantly surged out a current of black qi. That black qi instantly swallowed the red light of the glowing fan. That high-speed rotating glowing fan, one round after another, gradually became smaller. Zi Qianqian's lips curled into a complacent smile, as she heaved a sigh of relief and wanted to show off to Yi Qing Luo. A few black light balls suddenly flashed past her eyes. Her smile immediately froze on her lips. Her body had reflexively retracted the staff and placed it on her vital point. Bam! It was another sound of weapons clashing, and immediately the profound qi wave on the arena, which had not yet subsided, rolled up once again. Not knowing when, Yi Qing Luo was already standing in front of Zi Qianqian. The golden hairpin in her hand was piercing towards Zi Qianqian's neck. As for Zi Qianqian, he used his sky silk staff to block the golden hairpin. The golden hairpin was just an ordinary item. Under the black gas of the Tianling staff, it immediately exploded. That golden hairpin, Zi Qianqian's expression changed drastically, and he raised his hand to touch his hair. Indeed, it was her golden hairpin. Without the golden hairpin holding it in place, Zi Qianqian's long hair fell down. A few of her hair accessories fell to the ground with her intense movements. At the same time, Yi Qing Luo's figure suddenly disappeared in front of Zi Qianqian. Yi Qing Luo. Zi Qianqian gritted his teeth as he touched his long hair, his eyes filled with intense hatred. Whoosh, something seemed to brush past his cheek. There was a sharp pain. The sound of something tearing through the air brushed past his ears. It was Yi Qing Luo's glower flame fan. Earlier he had anxiously used the skymish staff to block Yi Qing Luo's sneak attack. However, he had neglected the glowing flame fan. Zi Qianqian hurriedly raised his sky silk staff, and was about to break the glowing flame fan. Only to see that glowing flame fan revolved around her, and with a whoosh whoosh whoosh, it spun towards the corner of the arena. Right in front of her, those black light balls, because of Yi Qing Luo's approach earlier, had all crashed to the side of her feet. Boom boom boom, bam, the arena collapsed, smoke and dust filled the air. The entire arena could no longer be seen clearly. The offensive power of the Tianling staff was beyond their imagination. He did not expect the Tianling staff to have the consciousness to protect its master. To Yi Qing Luo, this was extremely unfair. Although the rules did not restrict the weapons used by the contestants. However, even if Zi Qianqian won today's match, it would not be glorious. One must know that Yi Qing Luo was someone who possessed a divine relic. Until now, Yi Qing Luo had not used the power of the divine relic. A legendary weapon was already so heaven-defying. If Yi Qing Luo were to use the power of the divine relic, wouldn't it be even more heaven-defying? Qian, Sister Qianqian. Below the stage, Nangong Lin stood up and pointed at Zi Qianqian with a trembling finger. Your hair, hair. Zi Qianqian recalled the sound she heard when the glower flame fan brushed past her cheek. Her face instantly turned pale. Chapter 1254. Nothing. Nothing at all. There were only a few strands of black hair wrapped around her palm. Her heart suddenly stopped beating and the blood in her body seemed to have solidified. Trembling hands, she touched upwards. Her fine black hair had been cut off and now it was only the length of her ears. It was Yi Qing Luo. It was Yi Qing Luo who pulled out the golden hairpin that fixed her hair. It was Yi Qing Luo who took the opportunity to use the glower flame fan to cut off her hair. Abominable Yi Qing Luo! How dare she touch her hair? Zi Qianqian was so angry that her whole body was trembling, her eyes were red and tears were welling up in her eyes. When had she ever suffered such humiliation? To a woman, hair was more important than her life. Yet it was cut off so easily by Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo! I want to kill you. I want to kill you. Zi Qianqian's eyes were scarlet red as she raised her Tianling staff high and the condensed lightning struck towards Yi Qing Luo. The furious Zi Qianqian's lightning was even more violent than before. Yi Qing Luo immediately dodged and furrowed her brows while looking at her, her lips curled into a sneer of ridicule. Student Zi, you're really silly, using the Tianling staff's ability without restraint. Aren't you afraid that your profound qi will dry up and you'll die? Her words had just ended when Yi Qing Luo's footsteps extended and her figure rapidly turned into a red shadow as she approached Zi Qianqian. How could Zi Qianqian listen to Yi Qing Luo's words now? Yi Qing Luo had ruined the long hair which she was most proud of as a lady, causing her to completely become the joke of the West Continent. How could she still calm down? The staff's attacks were getting fiercer and fiercer. Zi Qianqian's body was also gradually retreating, trying to widen the distance between her and Yi Qing Luo. But how could Zi Qianqian's speed compare to Yi Qing Luo's? Moreover, Zi Qianqian couldn't catch Yi Qing Luo's movements at all. In just a short moment, Yi Qing Luo was already behind Zi Qianqian. A cold smile bloomed on her lips. Your speed is too slow. The cold and bewitching voice made Zi Qianqian's back turn cold as goosebumps appeared all over her body. Immediately after, she felt an ice-cold object pressed against her skin. Zi Qianqian's body stiffened, and he stopped attacking with his Tianling staff. Do you still want to continue? Yi Qing Luo sneered. I admit. Zi Qianqian seemed to be afraid. Her delicate body slightly trembled, and her hands, which were holding onto the sky silk staff, curled up tightly. Just as he was about to say the word lose, Zi Qianqian's expression changed abruptly, and he used his elbow to push back. Taking the opportunity when Yi Qing Luo was evading, he turned his head around and raised his sky-mist scepter, directly striking down fiercely. Yi Qing Luo had not expected that Zi Qianqian would take the opportunity to counterattack. Her eyes turned cold and she narrowed her eyes. Her body instinctively took precautions. With a light tap of his feet, he swiftly retreated. The devouring flame fan in his hand opened up, blocking the attack of the Tianling staff. Bye-bye, the sound of weapons colliding rang out, and both sides felt their wrists go numb. Crack, there was another explosion. His voice clearly spread throughout the entire West Wave Square. It was the sound of a weapon breaking. The onlookers were in an uproar. They squeezed their way to the arena, wanting to see whose weapon had been broken. The red light and the black qi were tightly intertwined. A lady in red and a lady in white looked at each other, suppressing a strong murderous intent. After Zi Qianqian heard that explosion, the expression on his face instantly turned joyous. Chapter 1255. The glower flame fan was broken. Yi Qing Luo's pupils contracted slightly. His eyes reflected the cracked gourd flame fan. Subconsciously, she wanted to keep the glower flame fan. How would Zi Qianqian let her off so easily? Let go of the glower flame fan. You destroyed my most precious hair, I will also destroy your most precious weapon. Zi Qianqian gritted her teeth sinisterly, as she injected all her profound energy into the Tianling staff. Black qi appeared. Crack, the strong pressure from the Tianling staff directly broke the glower flame fan. The enchanting glower flame fan broke into two. The entire West Lake Square was silent. The crowd's vision was fixed on the both of them. The sound of the glower flame fan falling onto the stage was exceptionally clear. Yi Qing Luo, go to hell. Zi Qianqian's beautiful eyes turned cold, as she arrogantly raised her chin, as her lips curled into a complacent smile. She raised the Tianling staff up high, as she sent the last burst of profound qi towards Yi Qing Luo's head. Bam! A loud sound was heard, as a petite figure was flung into the air. A staff suffused with black qi, as it tumbled a few times in the air, as it landed on the ground. A petite figure fell heavily on the side of the staff. That's right, on the ground. On the ground outside the stage. It was Yi Qing Luo. The moment Zi Qianqian held the Tianling staff tightly and smashed it towards her, Yi Qing Luo's eyes flashed coldly. She raised her leg, and directly kicked Zi Qianqian's abdomen. Qianqian. Vice Group Leader. A group of people from the Death God mercenary group immediately stood up, as they rushed towards Zi Qianqian's direction. Nangong Lin helped Zi Qianqian up, as she was so distressed that she was about to cry. Sister Qianqian, are you all right? Are you all right? Zi Qianqian was still in a daze. Her internal organs were in extreme pain, as though they were about to be torn apart. Nangong Lin saw Zi Qianqian's pale face, as she stared furiously at Yi Qing Luo, as she scolded, Yi Qing Luo, you slut. It's just a competition, is there a need to be so ruthless? If it wasn't for my sister Qianqian's power, she would have been killed by you on the stage. In the arena, the girl who stood alone in the same spot with her head lowered was silent. The surrounding waves of air swirled around her hair, but they couldn't sweep away the icy aura around her body. Don't think that just because you beat my big sister Qianqian secretly, you've really won. Just you wait. Seeing that she didn't speak, Nangong Lin's mouth was even more unforgiving. Nangong Firen grabbed his wrist tightly. Nangong Firen was about to tell Nangong Lin to shut up. All of a sudden, a cold gaze swept over. It actually caused them to feel cold air invading their bodies, a chill rising up from the bottom of their feet. His gaze was as cold as a sharp knife, filled with killing intent. Chapter 1258. Yi Qing Luo then reacted. They were still on the stage and there were thousands of pairs of eyes watching her. The current DMO Xian was supreme MO. Just now, she had almost called out his name in front of everyone. She restrained the emotions in her eyes and looked at DMO Xian. I'll look for you later, I want to find the glower flame fan. Saying that, she lowered her eyes and stared at the half of the glower flame fan in her hand. Her voice was very soft. If I can't find the other part of the glower flame fan, I can't be at ease. The glower flame fan that had protected her and accompanied her for such a long time. Even if the glower flame fan was broken, she had to keep the glower flame fan by her side. DMO Xian didn't speak for a long time. Yi Qing Luo pursed her pink lips, her emotions were complicated. But she still stubbornly didn't give up her decision. After some time, DMO Xian raised his hand and flicked Yi Qing Luo's forehead. Aren't you looking for it? Why are you still in a daze? Yi Qing Luo suddenly raised her head and her lips curled into a smile, and she squatted down and was about to continue rummaging through the stones. But her wrist was grabbed by DMO Xian again. His gaze glanced at her hands, his voice was slightly cold, trying to make me angry. Yi Qing Luo was stunned, her long curly lashes fluttered lightly. Suddenly, the smile on her lips deepened. She didn't say a word, only smiling and shaking her head. So, DMO Xian was angry, not because she broke the glower flame fan, but because she let herself get hurt in front of him. So he disregarded his status as Supreme MO and rushed to the stage to stop her self-harm and took the opportunity to apply ointment on his palm. This man. No matter when, he was able to make her heart beat faster. She was afraid that she would really fall into his hands for the rest of her life. Seeing that Yiqing Luo really didn't intend to use her bare hands to flip the stones, Dmo Xian then restrained the gloomy expression on his face. He let go of Yiqing Luo's wrist and waved his sleeve. A majestic profound energy swept up a hurricane, turning the rubble of the entire arena into a tornado. In that floating gravel, Yiqing Luo saw an indistinct red glow. Her eyes lit up as she tugged Dmo Xian's sleeve. After their eyes met, she leaped toward the red light. At the same time, Dmo Xian slowed down the release of his profound energy and the strength of the hurricane subsequently reduced. Yiqing Luo got closer to that red light and as expected, it was that half of the glower flame fan. She extended her hand and held the glowing flame fan in her palm. Following that, she turned around and returned to Dmo Xian's side. Logically speaking, Dmo Xian's majestic dark force was so powerful that even the masters and elders present would feel pressured if they were to approach him. How would an ordinary student dare to go near the hurricane that was stirred up by the profound energy? However, the cooperation between the two of them seemed to have been through a long period of training. Dmo Xian's control over his strength was not the slightest bit off. Yiqing Luo's approaching distance and the timing of her stretching out her hand to grab the glower flame fan were exactly the same. Everyone looked at the two of them with a hint of ambiguity and suspicion. "Let's go." Dmo Xian's gaze swept across the surroundings as he spoke indifferently. Yiqing Luo replied softly and followed behind Dmo Xian as the both of them walked down the stage. The onlookers were still staring at them suspiciously. Were they not going to explain? Wasn't he going to explain himself? Could it be that they had tacitly agreed to it? But these two obviously had no intention to explain. One in front and one behind, they directly walked past the high profound Class 2's waiting area. Chapter 1259. Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted as her heart suddenly stopped. She subconsciously turned her head to look at the vice president. Not knowing when, the vice president was already standing behind her as a pair of sharp eyes wandered between her and Dmo Xian. "Senior MO, you're the elder of the headquarters. Do you know? Your every action represents the actions of the headquarters." Dmo Xian's actions had already made the crowd speculate. If Dmo Xian was an old man with white hair and brows, the crowd wouldn't let their imagination run wild. But unfortunately Dmo Xian was a young man and he was so good-looking that he was ranked third in the West Continent's handsome man chart. For such a young and handsome man to take care of such a young and beautiful girl, it was unimaginable. How could it not cause a misunderstanding? The vice president of the headquarters didn't hate Yiqing Luo, but that didn't mean that he could accept an elder of the headquarters having an ambiguous relationship with a student. This would affect the image of the headquarters. Vice President. Dmo Xian glanced at the vice president indifferently before his vision shifted to Yiqing Luo as he smiled elegantly. "She is my proudest student." The crowd nodded as though they were enlightened. They had also heard that the elders sent to the Heavenly Academy were directly chosen to teach in the Devil class. With the guidance of the elders from the headquarters, it was no wonder that Yiqing Luo improved so quickly. Yiqing Luo's innate talent was so strong. If they were Yiqing Luo's teachers, they would also be willing to be so gentle to her. Thinking in this way, the crowd calmed down. Earlier when they saw Senior Mo and Yiqing Luo, it was so intimate. Now looking at Senior Mo and Yiqing Luo again, they only felt that their teacher and student relationship was extremely strong. The vice president took a look at the both of them and didn't continue asking. He only waved his hand and said calmly, "Bring her to the medical hall and bandage her wound. Tonight we will return to the Heavenly Academy and after resting for 2 days, we will select 10 students from the Devil class to report to the class of gods." This was the reward for defeating the overseer. 10 students could be chosen from the class that won first place to study in the class of gods for a month. Yiqing Luo thanked the vice president. Without exchanging any conventional greetings, she bid farewell and left. West Continent Public Square Town, Restaurant Private Room. The table was filled with delicacies, but no one touched it. Yiqing Luo lowered her head as she looked at the broken glower flame fan in her palm, not in the mood to eat. Little Luo, eat something first. Dmo Xian saw her absent-minded look and snatched the gourd flame fan from her hands, putting it aside. Today's match has exhausted so much energy. If you don't eat something, your body won't be able to take it. Yiqing Luo shook her head, her delicate fists tightly curled up. I have no appetite. Seeing this section of the gourd flame fan on the dining table, Yiqing Luo's heart was getting more and more vexed. Her mind recalled the scene when Dmo Xian passed the glower flame fan to her. His long and narrow eyes were curved, and his smile was devilishly charming. He said, "This is a betrothal gift for her." Today, she had broken the betrothal gift that Dmo Xian had personally given to her into two. Dmo Xian remained silent for a moment as he adjusted his sitting posture and turned around to look at Yiqing Luo. His slender hand held her small hand. The other hand lifted her lower jaw, forcing her gaze to meet his. In the end, why did you let Zi Qianqian off? Dmo Xian gently caressed her skin, as he asked in a warm voice. Yiqing Luo was stunned, her eyelashes were like butterfly wings, long and thick, but it was unable to conceal the glint of hatred in her eyes. Chapter 1260. The vengeful her, how could she let off Zi Qianqian who destroyed the glower flame fan so easily? But at that time, Yiqing Luo did not take any extreme actions. She even allowed Zi Qianqian to be carried away by the doctor in the medical hall to receive treatment. Yiqing Luo slowly lowered her gaze. Her eyes squinted, revealing a strong murderous intent. That is the competition venue. If I kill her on the spot, not only will I implicate myself, but also the entire devil class, and the World Mercenary Group. The current devil class and the World Mercenary Group. Although their reputations had spread far and wide. Speaking of which, she was the only one who was able to intimidate everyone with her strength. Once she dismembered Zi Qianqian on the spot. Not only the Zi family would not let her off. Even the academy would not be able to account for it. Devil classes students needed a place like the academy to learn and grow. She could not implicate the devil class and implicate everyone for her own selfish desires. She could not take revenge on the spot, but she would use her own methods to let Zi Qianqian live. More painful than death. What Zi Qianqian was proud of was just her title as a student in the class of gods. Was just her reputation as the #1 beauty. Was just her skymish staff's power. Then she would destroy what Zi Qianqian was proud of, bit by bit. This match, Zi Qianqian's loss, was just the beginning. She would make Zi Qianqian become the joke of the entire West Continent, and even the entire Nirvana realm. Yiqing Luo's gaze gradually fell onto the broken glower flame fan. Her slender fingers gently caressed the fan handle as her brows turned soft. Moreover, the glower flame fan did not hesitate to sacrifice itself in order to protect my victory. I don't want the glower flame fan to sacrifice itself in vain. Yes, in order to protect you, the glower flame fan sacrificed itself. Dmo Xian's warm palm had already floated onto her hair. His large palm fixed the back of her head. He said in a low voice, "So, all the more for the glower flame fan, at least don't let yourself fall." Yiqing Luo raised her eyes in a daze, looking at Dmo Xian's peerless face. That pair of glistening, gentle peach blossom eyes seemed to sink into the heart of a warm current. Furthermore, Dmo Xian dragged out the last syllable, his long and narrow eyes outlined a demonic curve. Who told you that once the glower flame fan is broken, it is completely broken? In Yiqing Luo's mind, there seemed to be a white light that suddenly exploded. Her charming eyes lit up as she speedily grabbed Dmo Xian's wrist. What did you just say? The devouring flame fan was broken, but was it not completely broken? In other words, DMO Xian had a way to restore the glower flame fan. Before I answer your question, you have to answer mine seriously first. DMO Xian's eyes gleamed slightly, his 5 fingers suddenly exerted strength and pulled Yi Qing Luo into his embrace. Her face was pressed against his chest. The scorching heat also scalded her face. Yi Qing Luo's little hand clutched tightly onto the lapel in front of his chest as she replied anxiously, "Ask, I will answer seriously." DMO Xian's attitude meant that he definitely had a way to reconstruct the glower flame fan. Why do you care so much about the ghastly flame fan? A low and hoarse voice, like mellow wine, lingered beside his eardrums. Yi Qing Luo suddenly felt her whole body go limp. Her little hand instinctively clutched his lapel even tighter. DMO Xian's voice was even lower, the slightly raised ending syllable, once again made Yi Qing Luo's body go limp. What does it have to do with repairing the broken glower flame fan? Yi Qing Luo asked in puzzlement. DMO Xian pinched her forehead lightly, because it is an attribute that can grow. The breaking of the ghastly flame fan, to the ghastly flame fan, is not destruction, but a new beginning. The more Yi Qing Luo listened, the more confused she became. Seeing Yi Qing Luo's bewildered look, DMO Xian sighed and changed his way of explaining. Before the ghastly flame fan broke, although it was used by you, but to the ghastly flame fan, you are not its real owner. The ghastly flame fan can be restored, but I need something from you. Hearing this, Yi Qing Luo linked the words before and after, and immediately understood the meaning behind DMO Xian's words. DMO Xian's gaze passed over her shoulder and fixed on a certain spot, but she's already here. Yi Qing Luo froze. Loosening her grip on DMO Xian's clothes, she followed his line of sight and looked behind her. Sure enough, a woman in a light blue dress with long sleeves drifting in the wind slowly walked over with a faint smile on her face. Standing in front of the both of them, the woman knelt down on one knee and paid her respects to DMO Xian. This subordinate pays her respects to Sir Overlord. She paused, and a teasing look flashed across her eyes. Greetings. Mistress of the Imperial Palace. And Mistress. Yi Qing Luo held her breath as she turned her head to look at DMO Xian. DMO Xian caressed her hair and waved his hand. Beiyuan, get up first. The woman stood up and walked to the seat opposite DMO Xian as she sat down. A pair of crafty and teasing eyes sized Yi Qing Luo up from head to toe. The relationship between Sir Overlord and Mistress of the Imperial Palace is really good, but let's settle the proper business first. When Yi Qing Luo heard that, her cheeks flushed red instantly. Chapter 1263. In this era, this kind of posture could be considered as immoral. Even between husband and wife, they didn't dare to do such an action in such a noisy place like the restaurant. Yi Qing Luo's only thought now was to dig a hole in the ground and disappear in front of these two people's eyes. In front of DMO Xian's subordinates, she sat on DMO Xian's thighs and even pestered him to be jealous. How would she have the face to meet the other people in the Imperial Palace in future? Yi Qing Luo wanted to cry but no tears came out. It was all that crazy beast's fault. When he flirted with her, he didn't even tell her in advance that there would be other people coming. Yi Qing Luo raised her fist and wanted to punch DMO Xian. But when he remembered that there was a beautiful woman looking at the two of them with a smile on her face, he couldn't help it. She suppressed her anger and retracted her hand. She stood up and speedily returned to her seat. Lil Luo, Ha, ha ha. DMO Xian was tickled by her actions as he laughed out loud. That peerless face, because of that smile, looked even more handsome. Yi Qing Luo was furious as she stared at him fiercely. Shameless beast, just you wait. Now that your subordinate is here, I will give you face, later your subordinate will leave. I'll peel your skin off in minutes. Dmo Xian raised his brows as his eyes narrowed. All right, I will wait for you. The two of them exchanged flirtatious glances, which made the beautiful lady sitting by the side unable to restrain her laughter. She crossed her arms leisurely as she leaned back on the chair, looking at Dmo Xian in ridicule. Noticing the lady's gaze, Yiqing Luo was really tempted. Damn it, there was probably no chance for her to establish her prestige in the imperial palace in future. The beautiful lady's beautiful eyes were filled with smiles as she looked at Yiqing Luo's direction and spoke respectfully. I am Tang Beiyuan, the Imperial Palace's armament refining hall master and also the Overlord's exclusive armament master. Saying that, she raised her brows with some interest, but what the Imperial Palace's mistress is worried about will absolutely not happen. Although I am the Overlord's exclusive armament master, but my life belongs to another man. Yiqing Luo heard that and knew that this lady was ridiculing what she said to Dmo Xian earlier. But Yiqing Luo didn't hear any bit of disgust or displeasure. Tang Beiyuan's teasing was kind. Tang Beiyuan was not as well behaved as wind in front of Dmo Xian. This was enough to prove that Tang Beiyuan and Dmo Xian's relationship was rather harmonious. Tang Beiyuan had just said that her life belonged to another man. This sentence, "You're married." Such a young and outstanding woman, how could she have gotten married so early? Tang Beiyuan shook her head with a bitter smile. We're not married yet, but I don't think I'll have to wait too long. She didn't even have the confidence to say the last word, maybe. Yiqing Luo opened her mouth but didn't know what to say. It was obvious that Tang Beiyuan was genuinely in love with her fiancé. As for the reason why they didn't get married, Yiqing Luo didn't ask too much. After all, this was only the first time they had met. One thing was certain, just as Tang Beiyuan had said, what she was worried about would never happen. I'm sorry. Yiqing Luo opened her mouth gently, apologizing for her action of assuming that Tang Beiyuan was the second Fengling before they had even met. Chapter 1264. Subdue. Tang Beiyuan's choice of words seemed a little, this is the first time I've seen such an overlord. Tang Beiyuan propped her chin as her beautiful eyes stared at Dmo Xian's face. The current overlord finally looks like a human. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at Dmo Xian. Looks like a human. What kind of evaluation was that? Could it be, Dmo Xian didn't look like a human in the past? Yiqing Luo recalled her past self, living like a machine that exhausted all its energy for the secluded Yi family. She didn't look like a human at that time. Could it be that Dmo Xian was the same as her in the past? Yiqing Luo felt like laughing as she imagined the past Dmo Xian. Beiyuan. Dmo Xian berated Tang Beiyuan's name, but his tone didn't have any signs of majesty. He looked at Yiqing Luo, who was still laughing, as one hand slid under the table towards Yiqing Luo's direction. His slender fingers silently covered Yiqing Luo's legs. Ah! Yiqing Luo's petite body stiffened as a short cry came out from her mouth. Tang Beiyuan looked at her in puzzlement. What's the matter? No, nothing. Yiqing Luo's petite body trembled slightly as she shook her head with a blushing face. His hand actually, using the table as a cover, his fingers gently and slowly brushed past her legs. From time to time, it brushed past her thighs. For the convenience of the competition, Yiqing Luo had designed the uniform to be extremely tight. The trousers below the skirt were almost stuck to her skin. Dmo Xian's hand swept past her tight trousers, which was equivalent to touching the skin on her legs. That layer of trousers made her feel even more itchy. Mistress, why is your face so red? Tang Beiyuan saw that Yiqing Luo didn't seem to be fine and immediately looked at Dmo Xian. Overlord, is mistress feeling unwell? Dmo Xian lifted the teacup elegantly and drank a mouthful of tea. She's thin-skinned and is regretting after you saw her fierce look earlier. Tang Beiyuan nodded her head as she retracted her worried gaze. Mistress, don't worry, I won't tell anyone else in the imperial palace about today's matter. Yi Qing Luo gave a few dry laughs as her body tensed up. She gave a dry laugh as she turned her head and gave Dmo Xian a warning stare. Where did this beast learn to flirt with girls? Unexpectedly, he actually did such a thing to her under the table. The more she stared, the more she stared. The hand on her thigh became more and more wanton. Furthermore, it faintly brushed past the inside of her great moon retreat, causing her to tremble even more violently. What made Yi Qing Luo unable to balance was, the Emperor Avian calmly sipped its tea. Yi Qing Luo's little face was burning as she saw Dmo Xian ignoring her gaze. She clenched her teeth and simply picked up the teacup as her other hand slid under the table without anyone noticing and held onto Dmo Xian's large palm. Just as she touched Dmo Xian's hand, Dmo Xian had already planned this beforehand as he held her wrist in reverse. Yi Qing Luo struggled and his grip tightened. Just as Yi Qing Luo flew into a rage out of humiliation, putting down the teacup and was about to add her other hand into the battlefield. Dmo Xian timely brought the topic back to business. Beiyuan, the glower flame fan is here, take a look and see how confident you are. Saying that, he pushed the glower flame fan which was broken into two pieces towards Tang Beiyuan. Yi Qing Luo's resistance stopped. At this moment, she had no mood to continue messing around with Dmo Xian. Chapter 1265. Tang Beiyuan fiddled with the broken glowing fan. She glanced at the gap and rolled her eyes. Di Zun, are you questioning my skills? Dmo Xian glanced at the young lady beside him. Tang Beiyuan nodded her head as her fingers caressed the glower flame fan and smiled at Yi Qing Luo. Mistress, I have 100% confidence. 100%, which meant 100% of the glower flame fan could be restored. Yi Qing Luo's eyes lit up as she looked at Dmo Xian in delight. The glower flame fan can be restored. It can be restored. Luckily, the glower flame fan was a growing attribute. There was still room for redemption. His heart, which had been hanging in the air, slowly sank into the bottom of his heart. Her little hand clenched the big palm on her thigh. I'm ready to extract the heart bone and blood any time. Dmo Xian's fingers caressed her palm as he said warmly, you must be tired from today's competition and exhausted too much energy. Forcefully extracting the heart bone and blood will affect your body. Extract the heart bone and blood, preferably in the wee hours of the morning, the second bell. Tang Beiyuan continued. Wee hours. Yi Qing Luo looked at Dmo Xian, can we do it tonight? Before that, if your body can meet the requirements of extracting the heart bone and blood, yes. Dmo Xian didn't object. Knowing that the glower flame fan could be restored, and with 100% confidence, Yi Qing Luo didn't insist any further. Today's competition was too dangerous and she was indeed tired. After the meal, Tang Beiyuan stayed in the restaurant. As for Dmo Xian and Yi Qing Luo, they returned to the dormitory. Yi Qing Luo needed a good rest. After the interclass competition, there were 2 days of free time. It was said that because of the interclass competition, the students had been tense for a long time and used profound energy on a large scale, so it gave the students time to relax. In fact, these 2 days, it was to let the students report their results back to their elders. Or stay at the West Square and get to know the forces from all over the world. If he was lucky, he would be able to decide which faction he would belong to after he graduated from the academy in the next 2 days. The two of them had just arrived at the entrance of the mansion when they saw a group of students dressed in class uniforms surrounding the entrance tightly. Those students were mostly youngsters. But when he looked inside, he saw many girls who were talking at once and laughing joyfully. As far as the eye could see, there were at least 50 to 60 people. Towards this kind of excitement, Yi Qing Luo had always had no interest. especially now that her mind was preoccupied with repairing the glowing flame fan. But when she passed by the entrance, Yiqing Luo obviously heard those ladies mentioning her name. Not only that, there were also Supreme Mo's words. Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted as her slender brows creased slightly as she looked at those students who were surrounding her. Just as she was about to walk over, her body was forcefully pulled towards the mansion by Dmo Xian. Don't bother about unimportant people. The most important thing now is for you to return to your room and have a good rest. Yiqing Luo staggered a few steps forward as she looked at Dmo Xian in puzzlement. However, she found that his expression was a little ugly, as if he was trying to hold back some emotions. His eagerness to pull her away did not seem to be just to let her rest earlier. Instead, what were those students talking about when they were gathered together? Yiqing Luo turned her head and swept a glance in the direction of the 50 to 60 students. Although she had doubts in her heart, but she tactfully didn't ask too much. Suddenly, a melodious laughter was heard from behind. Brother Supreme Mo, you're finally back. Chapter 1266. A jade-green figure forcefully knocked Yiqing Luo away. Yiqing Luo didn't pay attention and was knocked back a few steps. She looked up and saw Feng Ling holding Dmo Xian's arm tightly. Brother Supreme Mo, Xiaoling has waited for a long time, you're finally back. Yiqing Luo steadied herself and a trace of coldness surfaced in her eyes. How did Feng Ling know that Dmo Xian was Supreme Mo? Why was Feng Ling here? Xiaoling, let go. Dmo Xian's expression sank as his cold eyes swept past the woman who was holding his arm. The disgust in his eyes was obvious. Feng Ling pursed her red lips. It wasn't that she didn't see the disgust in Dmo Xian's eyes. But she still wasn't willing to let go of him. No matter how much Dmo Xian hated her. Dmo Xian couldn't reject her completely. As long as her grandma was around, she could do whatever she wanted without any scruples. Feng Ling restrained the surging emotions in her heart and hugged Dmo Xian's arm tighter. She practically buried Dmo Xian's arm right into that proud ravine on her chest. Brother Supreme Mo, don't chase Xiaoling away. Xiaoling will be obedient and won't disturb you. Feng Ling softened her tone and begged for mercy. Shaking Dmo Xian's arm, it brushed past her proud place. Dmo Xian's expression was overcast and the fingers on his arm were clenched into a fist. His voice was cold and filled with warning, let go. Feng Ling was so frightened by the coldness in his eyes that her whole body trembled, and her heart beat in fear. But she still didn't let go of Dmo Xian's arm. She licked her red lips which were dry from nervousness and simply buried her entire body into Dmo Xian's embrace. Just as Feng Ling was about to bury herself in Dmo Xian's arms, her arms suddenly felt a tingling pain. Immediately after, his body felt light as he was fiercely flung away by a strong force. Feng Ling fell heavily on the ground and let out a scream. Pain. The intense pain spread from her buttocks. Her whole body felt like her bones were broken and the pain was indescribable. The pain on her body couldn't compare to the pain in her heart. Feng Ling's eyes were red and her delicate face was pale. He actually pushed her away. Furthermore, he had pushed her away in such a rough manner. Did Brother D hate her that much? Was he so disgusted that he felt annoyed just by looking at her? Little Ling, are you all right? Teacher Mo, she's your fiancée after all. How could you treat her like this? Esteemed Teacher Mo, you are our teacher. You should set a good example. By treating your fiancé like this, are you teaching us how to treat our fiancés in the future? The students who were originally surrounding Feng Ling immediately went forward and helped Feng Ling up while defending her. There were a few students who stared furiously at the expressionless Yiqing Luo who was standing by the side. Yiqing Luo noticed it. The students looked at her as if they were looking at a vixen. Fiancé. Even using her toes, Yi-Ching Luo could imagine what Feng Ling and these students were discussing about earlier. It was none other than, she, Feng Ling, was Supreme Mo's fiancé. As for Supreme Mo, because of her, a proud student, he treated Feng Ling, his fiancé, coldly. Hence, Feng Ling came here to call back her fiancé's love for herself and so on. Even if it wasn't what Yi-Ching Luo had imagined, but the content was almost the same. Yi-Ching Luo only had 2 words to express her current feelings. Chapter 1267. Fiancé. Dmo Xian squinted his peach blossom eyes as he repeated the 3 words softly. Feng Ling, who stood up with the help of the students, looked at him anxiously. She bit her red lips lightly, looking as though she wanted to say something but stopped. Dmo Xian sneered as his thin lips twitched as he looked at Feng Ling and repeated the words again, fiancé, Mo, brother Supreme Mo. Feng Ling sobbed softly as her pair of beautiful eyes and eyelashes were already wet with tears. That pitiful and weak look made one feel pity for her. Don't be afraid, little Ling. Even if he's the elder of the headquarters, if he's so fickle and doesn't acknowledge his fiancée, then we'll report this matter to the headquarters. The one who stood out to speak was a female student from High Profound Class 2. High Profound Class 2 had now become a joke. Under Lu Xuelan's intentional embellishment. All the students were certain that this time they had lost all their face and were going to be demoted, was all because of Yi-Ching Luo's sinister and cunning. The female student pulled Feng Ling behind her and pointed towards Yi-Ching Luo's direction. Master Supreme Mo, touch your own conscience and say, do you treat her as your student or as a woman? With someone taking the lead to speak, the other female students' emotions were also infected. That's right, Master Supreme Mo, you already have a fiancé, so you shouldn't be so ambiguous with female students. What's more, student Yi-Ching Luo and the Overlord already have that kind of improper relationship. Student Yi-Ching Luo, don't you feel guilty for ruining their fiancé relationship? The female students were filled with righteous indignation. There were some female students who could empathize with her and felt that a woman's fate was really miserable as they directly walked up to Yi-Ching Luo, pointing at her and scolding Vixen. For a moment, the entire entrance of the dormitory was bustling with noise. Dmo Xian's frosty eyes were as sharp as a blade. He lifted his feet and was about to walk towards Yi-Ching Luo when he was stopped by a gaze from Yi-Ching Luo. His footsteps paused slightly, and when his gaze met Yi-Ching Luo, it eased up slightly. Yi-Ching Luo looked at the 2 female students and raised her brows with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Are you done? The profound energy which was released invisibly made the 2 female students feel pressured. They trembled and took a few steps back, not daring to speak again. Since you're done, then, listen to me. Yi-Ching Luo took a step forward slowly. The 2 female students retreated in fear. One of them felt her legs wobbling, and when Yi-Ching Luo got closer, she collapsed onto the ground as she grabbed onto another female student's trousers tightly. The female student raised her leg in fear and kicked the student who had fallen to the ground away. She hurriedly rushed towards the crowd. Chapter 1268. Yi-Ching Luo's eyelids drooped as she looked at that hand which was clutching her tightly. She didn't struggle free but only raised her eyes as she met that female student's gaze with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Then which eye of yours saw me spoiling their fiancé relationship? What rights do you have to spout nonsense and ruin my reputation? The female student's hysterical roar came to an abrupt stop. The sounds of discussion and the surroundings also stopped abruptly. Yi-Ching Luo raised her hand as her slender fingers held on to that hand which was on her lapel. One finger, she pried her apart. Anyone can say such slanderous words and anyone can say it. You just treat it as something which you say casually, but have you ever thought about the serious consequences it will cause to others? Yi-Ching Luo's voice was very soft, but it carried an irresistible charm. The invisible pressure which was released made everyone's gazes unknowingly revolved around her. Easily listening to someone's words, I don't know if I should laugh at your naivety or at your stupidity. Yiqing Luo shook off the female student's hand as she looked at her condescendingly. How long have you known Fengling for? Just act coquettishly, give in and obediently become her tool. The female student's expression changed. All the students' gazes instantly turned towards Fengling. The female student who was originally blocking in front of Fengling also slowly shifted her body as she turned her head towards Fengling, her eyes filled with suspicion. That's right. How long had they known Fengling for? Just based on a few words from Fengling, they had already scolded Master Mo. Those few students who had voiced out earlier felt a chill down their spines as they broke out in cold sweat. The gazes which they shot towards Fengling became increasingly unfriendly. I didn't. What I said is all true, she did it on purpose. Fengling panicked as she stuttered to explain. She had not expected Yiqing Luo to be so quick-witted. Just a few words and she had made those students who were on her side, who were filled with righteous indignation to stand up for her, instantly betray. You. Yiqing Luo suddenly pointed towards that female student from High Profound Class 2. The female student's body stiffened as she didn't even dare to breathe loudly. You said that I have an improper relationship with the Overlord. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly, the smile on her lips was elegant, like a dream or fantasy. However, that pair of charming eyes, which were suffused with rippling light, was so cold that it caused one's entire body to shiver. Let me make a correction. The Overlord and I are in a serious relationship. Don't use the word improper on us. All the students sucked in a breath of cold air. Was she openly admitting that she had a close relationship with His Majesty, the Overlord? Didn't they say that they were master and disciple? Could it be that they had advanced from master and disciple to that kind of relationship? But Yiqing Luo didn't give them any time to digest. Instead, he walked straight to wind chimes. His steps were light and slow, but he carried a strong and intimidating aura. Windling was so frightened that she retreated. She instinctively wanted to seek help from the people around her. However, the students who were comforting her gently and standing beside her just a moment ago didn't seem to see her pleading eyes. Yiqing Luo smiled, her smile was extremely joyous. Those who can be easily persuaded by you can also be easily persuaded by others. She moved closer to Fengling's ear and whispered. The human heart was like this. Listening to the wind was the wind, listening to the rain was the rain. But she didn't know how to personally verify whether it was the wind or the rain. Looking at Windling's pale little face, she looked as though she had suffered a huge blow and was extremely frail. Her smile became even more enchanting and radiant as her vision slowly turned towards the man who was looking at her silently with a doting gaze. Chapter 1269. Hearing Yiqing Luo's question, Fengling's petite body shuddered. Her gaze was immediately glued to Dmo Xian's body, a pair of reddened eyes and her wet eyelashes fluttered incessantly. Just a moment later, the bean-sized tears rolled down from the corner of her eyes. Her pitiful look was obviously begging Dmo Xian not to expose her in front of everyone. Fengling was very clear. Under Yiqing Luo's conscious guidance, these students had developed an extreme distrust towards her. If Dmo Xian denied that she was his fiancée, that also meant that the story she had fabricated earlier was indeed false. Which meant that she was indeed like what Yiqing Luo said, making use of everyone's sympathy, using everyone as a tool. How indignant those students were to stand up for her just now. After knowing the truth, how indignant they would be, accusing her of using and lying. These students. They would peel off her skin. Just imagining the consequences in her mind, Fengling's body couldn't stop trembling. Dmo Xian didn't speak for a long time. Her mood was getting more and more uneasy. Finally, Feng Ling couldn't hold it in any longer and directly rushed towards Dmo Xian's direction. "Brother Mo Supreme, quickly answer them. Didn't you promise Grandma that you will do your best to protect little Ling?" Feng Ling stretched out her hand, trying to hug Dmo Xian's arm. In his words, he deliberately emphasized the word Grandma. But the progress and Feng Ling's thoughts were completely in the opposite direction. Her hand had yet to touch Dmo Xian. Dmo Xian dodged sideways. Feng Ling's hand, frozen mid-air, looked at him incredulously. That face which made her crazy, had no emotions at all. That pair of eyes which made her intoxicated, was so cold as if it was quenched with ice. He stood there, without any adornment in his master's robe, swaying in the wind, like a banished immortal. His rosy thin lips, bit by bit, curled into an arc which made her sink in. Feng Ling was so frightened that her delicate body trembled, almost crying out loud. From Dmo Xian's action of avoiding her, Feng Ling had already guessed his choice. "She is not my fiancée." Dmo Xian's voice was calm, his expression indifferent. His words were like needles stabbing into wind chimes' eardrums. Her head was throbbing, and she could clearly hear something breaking in her chest. "Brother Supreme Mo." Feng Ling miserably called out Dmo Xian's name. She could not believe that even if she brought out her grandmother, the man she loved still mercilessly exposed her. Through the corner of her eyes, Feng Ling glanced at the girl who was standing on the other side and looking at her provocatively. His cheeks felt like they were on fire. A sense of humiliation arose spontaneously. The person her brother D respected the most was her grandmother. But now, for the sake of one woman and another woman, her big brother D was even willing to disregard his own grandmother. What was so good about Yi Qing Luo? What was good about Yi Qing Luo? Why did her brother D treat her in this way because of Yi Qing Luo? The more Feng Ling thought about it, the more unbalanced she felt. His hatred towards Yi Qing Luo intensified. Suddenly, a quiet and low voice sounded in his ears. His voice was so soft that only the two of them could hear him. "Little Ling, don't waste all the kindness that your grandmother had painstakingly accumulated for you. You know very well that this lord's patience is not good. She is my reverse scale." Just 3 simple sentences, but it seemed as if there were turbulent waves surging in Feng Ling's heart. He was warning her. He wanted to tell her. Chapter 1270. This knowledge made Feng Ling's body sway slightly. Her entire body was weak and she almost fell onto the ground. A bone-piercing chill extended from her feet to her heart. Her entire body seemed to be wrapped in ice. Just because she had tarnished Yi Qing Luo's reputation. So, Dmo Xian also wanted to tarnish her reputation? Because he was worried that Yi Qing Luo would misunderstand. So, Dmo Xian avoided her from getting close to him. Just to please Yi Qing Luo. So, Dmo Xian could ignore her grandmother's kindness. Ha! He. Windling chuckled softly. The pain of her heart tearing made her wish that she was dead. "Miss Feng, Senior Master Mo is an elder of the headquarters. I'm very curious, who sent you to purposely defame Senior Master Mo?" A clear voice sounded from the side. Yi Qing Luo smiled lightly as she gazed at Feng Ling, or perhaps. "You're purely admiring Master Mo, so you're delusional that you're his fiancé. So you intentionally instigated the students, attempting to force Master Mo to accept your disrespectful delusions for your sake." Yi Qing Luo's words instantly made those students who were originally infuriated by Feng Ling burst out laughing. Pairs of disdainful eyes fell on Feng Ling. Looking at Feng Ling was like looking at a nauseating love-struck fool. Feng Ling had grown up in the imperial palace since young. Because of her grandmother, she had always been the center of attention since young, as everyone revolved around her. Since when had she suffered such humiliation? Her face turned pale as tears uncontrollably flowed out. Her teary eyes stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo. She turned around and covered her face as she sobbed softly and walked far away. A few female students chased after her as they scolded and swore that the next time they saw Feng Ling, they would definitely catch her and give her a good beating. As for the other male students, when they saw Feng Ling's pitiful crying look as she left, they couldn't bear to chase after her. For a moment, all the students were discussing about what happened earlier. Yiqing Luo guessed. Probably in less than a joss stick's time, the entire West Lawn Public Square would probably know about a lady named Feng Ling, shamelessly deceiving everyone, delusional that she was Master Mo Xian's fiancée. Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she shot a glance at Mo Xian and snorted lightly. Without looking back, he walked into the dormitory and returned to his room. Although she appeared to be so arrogant on the surface, in actual fact, Mo Xian's actions of avoiding Feng Ling's touch and publicly denying Feng Ling's lies had completely pleased her. Now, Winchim had become a joke in West Billow Square. Yiqing Luo expressed that her mood had already bloomed. Although it wasn't clear what was the relationship between Mo Xian and the Imperial Palace's grandma. It was unclear what kind of feelings were involved between Mo Xian and Grandma Earth Palace. But the only thing that Yiqing Luo could confirm was that Mo Xian truly respected the Imperial Palace's granny. Otherwise, Feng Ling would not have used her grandmother to threaten Mo Xian time and time again. For her, Mo Xian rejected Feng Ling. She was already very satisfied. Yiqing Luo quickly returned to her room, waiting for Mo Xian to sneak into her room to look for her. Mo Xian indeed intended to chase after them. But before he could even lift his leg, those students who chased after Feng Ling had already turned back and surrounded him. The students apologized for listening to Feng Ling's words earlier, and reprimanding Master Mo Xian. Deeply afraid that Master Mo Xian would blame them. Pulling and pulling, they refused to let Mo Xian leave no matter what. With Mo Xian's current status, it wasn't convenient for him to fly into a rage and chase these students away. The crowd surged and one by one, black heads swayed in front of his eyes. Mo Xian could only look on helplessly as Yiqing Luo's figure slowly disappeared. Mo Xian expressed. Chapter 1271. Three Springs City, the World Mercenary Group's old residence. The students of the Devil class were sent back to the old mansion by 10 horse carriages. They were dispersed and escorted back by the Emperor Palace's disciples. One by one, the carriages entered the old mansion. Zhao Bo and the others stepped forward to carry the youths off the carriages. All of them sucked in a breath of cold air. The youths of Devil class laid in the horse carriage, completely unable to move. The faces of the youths were pale, and their brows were tightly knitted together in pain. There were no scars on their bodies, but they seemed to be in extreme pain from head to toe, as if they were on the verge of death. Zhao Bo immediately ordered his men to gently lift the youths off the carriage and send them to their rooms. For a time, the atmosphere in the old mansion was extremely heavy. No one spoke. Only the pained cries of the youths could be heard faintly drifting in the air. The last carriage entered the old house. The first to open the curtains was Qiao Jin, who was dressed in a red uniform and had his brows furrowed. He carried the pale-faced Yan Shao Yi in his arms and gently leapt off the carriage. Executive Commander, when Zhao Bo saw Qiao Jin, he asked in a low voice with an extremely ugly expression, "What's going on?" He knew that Yiqing Luo and the others were going to take part in the Academy's interclass competition. The competition in the Academy had been witnessed by the various elders and teachers of the Academy. No matter how fierce the battle was, it was impossible for him to be injured to this extent, right? Furthermore, based on the strength of the other students in the Heavenly Academy, how could they hurt this bunch of youngsters? Zhao Bo was full of doubts. Qiao Jin did not reply. His face was ashen as he stared fixedly at the woman in his arms, as if he could no longer see anyone or anything in the outside world. "Where is Holy Pirate?" Long Yunzhan's cold voice came from behind him. Zhao Bo halted his steps and bowed respectfully. "Guild leader." Long Yunzhan coldly nodded. "They are badly hurt. Let's ask Holy Pirate to come." Zhao Bo responded and immediately turned in the direction of Holy Pirate's courtyard. Long Yunzhan looked at the back view of Qiao Jin carrying Yan Xiaoyi as they left. He wanted to catch up and wait for God Pirate's arrival. Just as he was about to lift his leg, Long Yunzhan's ears twitched. A hint of vigilance flashed across his indifferent eyes. Footsteps were approaching. Moreover, there were more than 20 of them. He frowned and turned around. When he saw the person behind him, the seriousness on his face eased a little. "Why are you here?" It was none other than Tao Tao. Behind Peach, there were more than 20 doctors dressed in doctor uniforms with medical boxes on their waists. As far as the eye could see, the youngest doctor was over 50 years old. The doctors were panting heavily, and their foreheads were dripping with sweat. When they arrived at the old house, they wiped the cold sweat off their foreheads and looked around. "Captain Peach Blossom, where are the injured?" Peach also ran all the way here. Her delicate face was covered with a thin layer of sweat. She looked up at Long Yunzhan and panted, "Leader Long, where are the injured people? I specially asked Peach Blossom 3000 to invite the famous doctors near Three Springs City over. Thank you for your hard work." He was about to ask Holy Pirate to find the famous doctor from Three Springs City, but Peach had already made the arrangements. "Thank you." Long Yunzhan curled his lips slightly, his azure blue eyes revealing sincerity. Peach looked at the handsome face in front of her, and a trace of amazement flashed in her eyes. It was the first time she had seen Long Yunzhan smile. All along, Long Yunzhan had been expressionless and emotionless. It was a little surprising. Chapter 1272. He was still dressed like a nouveau riche. Against the sunlight, his entire body shone with a dazzling golden light. In an instant, God Thief was already standing in front of Long Yunzhan as he held onto Long Yunzhan's shoulder. "Qing Luo, that last didn't come back with you? Don't tell me, you were beaten up badly in an interclass competition." "We won the competition." He interrupted Holy Pirate's wild thoughts. "Take these doctors and check their pulses. We can talk about the rest later." Long Yunzhan coldly replied. After saying that, he led the 20 or so doctors to the youngsters' rooms. The old house, which had been silent for a long time, gradually became extremely lively. The doctor came and went. Zhao Bo and the others listened to the doctor's instructions and ran back and forth to help. Yan Xiaoyi's room. Qiao Jin sat by the bed and used a towel to wipe the cold sweat off Yan Xiaoyi's forehead. That delicate little face was now as pale as a sheet of paper. Her usually fiery red lips were now devoid of any color. His breathing was extremely heavy, and from time to time, he would let out soft moans of pain. Her eyebrows were tightly knitted together, as if she was enduring the intense pain. Qiao Jin's hand, which was wiping her cold sweat, couldn't stop trembling. Seeing Yan Xiaoyi in such pain, his heart ached even more. He couldn't wait to take her place and bear the pain. Qiao Jin was infinitely vexed. Why wasn't he by Yan Xiaoyi's side when they were at the back mountain? If he had accompanied Yan Xiaoyi, Yan Xiaoyi wouldn't have suffered such serious injuries and wouldn't have needed to consume the Imperial Palace's pills and wouldn't have to suffer such pain. His slender fingers curled up the towel in his hand one by one. At this moment, the strong and determined man's eyes reddened. Qiao Jin put the towel into the basin and gently held her little hand. Her delicate hand was so small, yet his large palm could completely wrap around her small hand. Qiao Jin held her hand tightly, lifted it gently, and pressed it against his cheek. Her hands were bone-chilling, just like frost. It was so cold that his body trembled slightly. His heart was aching and filled with guilt. Xiao Yi. Qiao Jin murmured softly, calling Yan Xiao Yi's name affectionately. Even he himself did not notice it. The tenderness in his words could almost be squeezed out of water. His gaze was tender and tender, his expression gentle. Xiao Yi, after going through this, I'm increasingly certain of your position in my heart. When you wake up, when you get better, I will definitely tell you everything in my heart. A pained groan interrupted Qiao Jin's murmurs. Qiao Jin, who had been confessing tenderly, paused. Their previous high morale instantly vanished without a trace. The eyelashes of the woman lying on the bed trembled as she twisted her body in pain. His breathing became heavier and heavier, as if he was suffering from indescribable pain. Qiao Jin held her hand tightly and pressed it against his face. He covered her eyes with his other hand. Xiao Yi, I'm here. I'm here. In his palm, he could clearly feel the movement of his eyelashes. Qiao Jin's heart trembled, and he immediately withdrew his hand. Sure enough, he saw a pair of beautiful eyes that were covered with a layer of haziness. She blinked her eyes in a daze, her face scrunched up in pain. Until Yan Xiao Yi's eyes completely opened, and a pair of hazily beautiful eyes looked towards him. Qiao Jin's entire body stiffened. He was still holding Yan Xiao Yi's hand and placing it against his cheek. Chapter 1273. Yan Xiao Yi's gaze was fixated on Qiao Jin. She didn't speak. He became increasingly nervous. After a while, Qiao Jin stood up in a panic. I just felt that your hand was very cold, so, he stuttered as he explained, his face full of nervousness. He had just vowed that as long as Yan Xiao Yi woke up, he would tell her about his feelings. At this moment, those words had long been forgotten because of his nervousness when facing Yan Xiao Yi. His stuttering explanation was stopped when Yan Xiao Yi slowly sat up. Qiao Jin pressed Yan Xiao Yi down in a panic. You can't move around recklessly now. Before the doctor comes, lie down and rest. As soon as he finished speaking, Yan Xiao Yi's body actually fell towards him softly. Then, without warning, she stretched out her hands and wrapped them around his firm waist. That pale little face was pressed against his abdomen. Qiao Jin could clearly feel Yan Xiao Yi's icy cold face through the thin layer of clothing. Qiao Jin. Yan Xiao Yi's pale thin lips opened slightly as she softly called out his name. Because of this action, the wounds on his body were affected, causing a tearing pain. Yan Xiao Yi's eyes reddened, her little hands wrapped even tighter as her voice revealed a trace of grievance. Qiao Jin. Qiao Jin was stunned. She wasn't angry at him for holding her hand without permission. And she even took the initiative to wrap her arms around his waist. Qiao Jin's heart beat wildly, his entire body inexplicably hot. He looked at the young girl who was hugging him, his body stiff, his arms trembling as he reached towards her. He wanted to wrap his arms around Yan Xiao Yi. But he was afraid of being rejected by Yan Xiao Yi. Don't tell me, you hate me that much. Yan Xiao Yi suddenly raised her head, her misty eyes looking at him. Her beautiful eyes were slightly red, revealing a thin layer of mist. Qiao Jin's heart stopped, he subconsciously reached out to hold her face, gently caressing her eyes. How could I hate you, Xiao Yi? How could I hate you? I can't wait to like you. How could I hate you? Don't cry. If you cry, my heart will ache. Qiao Jin silently added another sentence in his heart. His slender fingers gently caressed Yan Xiao Yi's eyes. Yan Xiao Yi's little hands tightened around his waist, seemingly enjoying Qiao Jin's touch. She slowly closed her eyes, and the pain between her brows eased a little. He waited for a long time, but he didn't feel the sensation he was expecting. Yan Xiaoyi opened her eyes in confusion. She saw Qiao Jin staring at her, not knowing what he was thinking. Yan Xiaoyi blinked her eyes in a daze, her soft body lying on top of his. The woman's soft and delicate body, especially the softness in front of her chest, was pressed tightly against his chest. Qiao Jin was hot-blooded, and the one in his arms was the woman he loved. His body tensed up and he reached out to pry Yan Xiaoyi's hand away. Ugh, it hurts. Yan Xiaoyi refused to let go. She didn't know why, but every time her body moved, she would feel a dull pain. It was as if his internal organs had been torn apart. Why could he still feel such clear pain in his dream? However, she still endured the pain and only wanted to hug Qiao Jin tightly. This dream belonged to her alone. Only in her dreams did this man belong to her alone. Only in her dreams could she do whatever she wanted to do to him without any qualms. She wasn't willing to wake up, nor was she willing to let go of him in her dreams. This was her dream. So, she could do anything. As long as she could keep him. Chapter 1274. Hearing Yan Xiaoyi cry out in pain, Qiao Jin immediately panicked. How would he dare to struggle again? Looking at Yan Xiaoyi with a worried gaze, Qiao Jin asked helplessly, "Where does it hurt? Where does it hurt? Bear with it, the doctor will be here soon, I'll rush the doctor over to take a look at you, don't cry." Just as he was about to turn and leave, the two hands around his waist wrapped around him tightly, unwilling to let go. "Xiaoyi, you..." Qiao Jin didn't dare to move too much, worried that it would affect Yan Xiaoyi's wound. Before he could speak, Yan Xiaoyi held his hand. She pulled his large palm and placed it on her chest. "It hurts here, it hurts." "Qiao Jin, what do I do? I'm about to die from the pain." Qiao Jin's mind went blank. It was as if a ball of white light exploded in his mind. What did his hand touch? It was as soft as cotton. It was so soft that he subconsciously wanted to move his fingers. And, once he moved, he heard a soft moan. It was alluring. His consciousness suddenly came back to his senses. His eyes fixed on Yan Xiaoyi's body. His hand was still on Yan Xiaoyi's chest. His fingers were bent. It was obvious that he really rubbed. Xiaoyi, sorry." Qiao Jin's face instantly flushed red. He wanted to retract his hand, but Yan Xiaoyi seemed to know what he wanted to do, and stopped him in advance. With this pull and pull, the feeling in his palm became increasingly clear. Qiao Jin's body was extremely tense, the emotions in his eyes constantly attacking his lower abdomen. His eyes were already filled with a trace of desire. No, it can't be like this. Xiaoyi's injury was so serious, how could he have such thoughts towards Xiaoyi at this time? Qiao Jin constantly convinced himself. His arms slightly exerted force, wanting to maintain a distance from Yan Xiaoyi. But Yan Xiaoyi was very strong. Under the pull, Yan Xiaoyi's body was already weak. Her body fell forward, about to fall off the bed. Qiao Jin caught Yan Xiaoyi in time. The two of them fell to the ground. Qiao Jin acted as a cushion, so Yan Xiaoyi didn't fall. But the position of the two was a little too ambiguous. Qiao Jin also realized this and shifted his gaze away unnaturally. "Xiaoyi, can you move?" Yan Xiaoyi leaned against his chest. Her slightly red face was no longer as cold as before. She replied softly, her little hand subconsciously grabbing onto his shirt. "Get up first." Qiao Jin's tensed body had already reached its limit. The most torturous thing in the world, nothing was better than being intimate with the woman he loved, but he couldn't and didn't dare to do anything. Yan Xiaoyi suddenly raised her eyes and looked deeply at Xiao Jin. Her hands changed from gripping his clothes to gently caressing it. His fingers were like elves, moving through a layer of clothing. A trace of a smile blossomed on her lips. "Didn't you forcefully press me against the table the last time? Forcefully kissed me. You still want to take off my clothes?" Xiao Jin's body stiffened, and his breathing became heavy. "What, you don't have the guts now?" Yan Xiaoyi suddenly bent down and pressed her fingers on Xiao Jin's lips. "Only you are allowed to forcefully push me, but I'm not allowed to forcefully push you." Just as her voice fell, her lips had already forcefully pressed on his. Forcefully biting and caressing. She imitated how he had kissed her the last time and returned the kiss to Xiao Jin without changing anything. "Xiao-yi," Xiao Jin's voice was already hoarse. There was a voice in his head that kept shouting for him to press down this unbridled woman on top of him. Somewhere in his body, it kept clamoring for action. But he maintained his rationality. Calm down, Xiao Yi's actions must be because the injuries on her body had worsened, causing her to lose consciousness. He couldn't take advantage of her. But this thought just flashed past his mind. Chapter 1275. Yan Xiaoyi's slender and fair little hands were as soft as silk. They bounced on Xiao Jin's chest. Slowly, it slid into his clothes. Her delicate skin came into contact with him without any resistance. Xiao Jin's tense nerves broke down at this moment. His eyes, which were filled with yearning, were bloodshot, burning with the flames of lust. "Xiao-yi." His hoarse voice revealed an irrepressible lust. Xiao Jin reached out and hugged the girl who was lying on him. "You asked for it." He was a man. He was young and full of vigor. How could he control himself under the seduction of the girl he loved? If he could control himself, then he wasn't a man. Xiao Jin's fierce and unreasonable look didn't make Yan Xiaoyi afraid at all. Instead, she giggled out loud. Because of her discomfort, her frowning brows relaxed at this moment. "If you dare to stop, then you aren't a man." Yan Xiaoyi grabbed his clothes tightly and pulled hard. After pulling Xiao Jin down, she kissed his thin lips fiercely. In this dream, she wanted to truly feel Xiao Jin's taste, Xiao Jin's temperature, Xiao Jin's everything. In this dream, Xiao Jin belonged to her alone. Yan Xiaoyi's kiss became more and more lingering. Xiao Jin turned from guest to host, biting Yan Xiaoyi's lips. The intense kiss raised the temperature of the whole room. The two of them were already entangled. At this moment, "Brat, is Xiao-yi okay? I've brought the ghost doctor over. Let's take a look at Xiao-yi and see what's going on." The door was pushed open rudely. God Thief tugged on the ghost doctor's sleeve and swaggered in. Peach, Long Yunjian, and Zhao Bo followed behind. Immediately, there was a moment of silence. The few of them looked at everything that was happening in the room in shock, smelling the extremely ambiguous smell in the air. Both parties froze. Xiao Jin was originally full of lust. Now that he was shocked and being watched, he was so scared that he went soft. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Damn, would he have a shadow in his heart in the future? Would he be able to get better in the future? Damn. He wouldn't be impotent, right? Cough. Holy Pirate, who was the first to react, blushed. He immediately dragged the ghost doctor away. When Long Yunjian, Zhao Bo, and the others came to their senses, they reached out to cover Peach's eyes and forcibly took her away. The door slammed shut again with a bang. Outside the door, the ghost doctor's voice could be heard. "If you don't want Miss Yan's injuries to worsen, you'd better stop now. Otherwise, even I, the ghost doctor, will be powerless." You're such an unromantic old man. The young couple is so loving inside, and you have to say such things that spoil the mood. Holy Pirate spat a few times as if he was pulling the ghost doctor away. When Xiao Jin, who was in the room, heard the ghost doctor's words, all his feelings completely vanished into thin air. He stiffened his body and quickly got up. He discovered that the girl beneath him had unknowingly fallen unconscious again. Her little face turned even paler. His brows were tightly knitted, as if he was in unbearable pain. His lips that were swollen and moist from kissing opened slightly, and he kept groaning in pain. Xiao Yi! Xiao Yi! Xiao Jin's heart suddenly felt a sharp pain, and it twitched fiercely. Chapter 1276. While the ghost doctor was taking Yan Xiaoyi's pulse, Long Yunzhan succinctly recounted what had happened in West Lawn Square. After hearing that all the students in the devil class had been surrounded by the dark forces, which was why they were so heavily injured. The ghost doctor and God Pirate's eyes met, and a haze flashed across their eyes. He was already heavily injured to begin with, and he even consumed the spirit returning pill specially made by the Imperial Palace. If it was an ordinary profound practitioner, once the effects of the spirit returning pill were used up, he would either die or be crippled. Ghost Doctor's white brows creased, as he impatiently flung Yan Xiaoyi's wrist away. Luckily you've been nourished by last Qing Luo's medicinal pill, and your body's quality has far surpassed ordinary people, so you're able to withstand the backlash from the spirit returning pill. The more he spoke, the more impatient his expression became. You're just a bunch of kids who haven't even grown hair yet. Why do you have to provoke this kind of thing? Troublesome. If it wasn't for the fact that these youngsters had a close relationship with Yi Qing Luo. The ghost doctor really wasn't willing to waste her time refining medicine to treat these troublesome brats. So it's the soul-restoring pill. No wonder I can't see any injuries on these kids, but they're all howling like pigs being slaughtered. Holy Pirate suddenly understood and looked at Ghost Doctor. This group of kids are like newborn calves that are not afraid of tigers. They even dared to take elixirs like the Return God pill. Most profound practitioners did not dare to experience the consequences of consuming the soul-returning pill. In the case of severe injuries, after consuming the soul-returning pellet, the wounds on the profound practitioner's body would heal on their own. After the effects of the medicine dissipated, the wounds on the body would not reappear. However, the wounds still had an effect on the body. Not only did profound practitioners have to endure pain that was 100 times more painful than when they were heavily injured, they also had to. He couldn't find the exact location of the wound on his body or what kind of injury it was. But there was no way to save him. Ghost Doctor. Xiao Jin stood stiffly by the bedside, his gaze deeply fixed on Yan Xiaoyi, whose face was filled with pain. Is there no other way? The moment he opened his mouth, the ghost doctor glared at him maliciously. You brat, you still dare to speak. You clearly knew that this girl's injuries were severe, yet you still did that kind of thing to her. If we hadn't come early, this girl's life would have been in your hands. How troublesome. All he did was create trouble for him. Xiao Jin was unable to refute and lowered his eyes in guilt. All right. Call that bunch of quacks over, and first tell them how to find the location of the wound. The ghost doctor couldn't be bothered to say anything else, she just wanted to resolve this troublesome matter as soon as possible. In his heart, he was already thinking that when Yi Qing Luo returned, he would definitely make her repay the kindness, locking Yi Qing Luo in the secret alchemy room for 10 days to half a month to help him refine medicinal pills. Quack doctor. Zhao Bo swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Those doctors were the most prestigious doctors in and outside of Three Springs City, and within a radius of hundreds of miles. In the mouth of the ghost doctor, all of them had become quacks. Long Yunzhan's cold gaze swept past Zhao Bo shuddered and reacted. I'll call them over now. West Lawn Square, dormitory. Night approached the hour of Yin. Yiqing Luo's eyes were shut as she fell into dreamland. Even in her dreams, her brows were still tightly knitted. It was as if he couldn't calm down. Suddenly, a well-defined finger gently touched her tightly knitted eyebrows. A strong arm wrapped around the sleeping girl. The purple robe fluttered. Under the dim candlelight, the fluorescent glow was harmonious. "Ah, Xian, stop fooling around." The young lady pouted her pink lips as she raised her hand to push away the arm which was restraining her waist, turning over and continuing to sleep. In the next instant, a pair of warm lips had already sealed her lips. The elegant sandalwood scent, mixed with the scent of male hormones. Chapter 1277. Yiqing Luo moaned twice as both her hands pushed against Dmo Xian's chest. But her struggle made Dmo Xian even more overbearing. In just a short while, he made her throw away her armor. She opened her eyes in a daze as she gazed into that pair of tender and sweet peach blossom eyes. Her hands automatically wrapped around his neck as she pressed her lips tightly against his as she murmured, "Ah, Xian." Just as she relaxed her body and closed her eyes to enjoy the intimacy with Dmo Xian. The man who was leaning on her had already moved his body away. The man's scorching temperature suddenly disappeared. His large palm moved her wrists away from his neck. Yiqing Luo frowned in puzzlement. Was the emperor bird the kind of person who would give up on conquering her when she took the initiative? It was obviously the kind of person who could turn the tables and forcefully suppress her. At this critical juncture, the emperor bird actually took the initiative to stop. Cough. This could be a fake Dmo Xian. Get up and wash up. The deep male voice made her mellow for a moment. Yiqing Luo lazily turned over and laid on the pillow, ignoring him. She was extremely dissatisfied with Dmo Xian's sudden stop. "Bei Yuan is waiting for you, aren't you going to get up?" Dmo Xian's thin lips curled as his body leaned down once again, "Or do you want me to continue?" The man's warm breath sprayed on the skin on the back of her neck. His large palm slowly covered her back. Yiqing Luo's petite body trembled as her cheeks turned slightly red. Just as she was about to avoid Dmo Xian's touch, his hands suddenly pressed on her waist. That faintly discernible teasing made Yiqing Luo's face flush red like a raging fire, burning hot. Her brain heated up as she simply turned over and grabbed Dmo Xian's deliberately teasing hand as she gritted her teeth and spat out a word, "Continue if you have the ability." The man who was looking at her from a close distance suddenly froze. That originally playful smile on his face instantly turned gloomy. Yiqing Luo raised her brows in provocation as she flung Dmo Xian's hand to one side. Just as she was about to proudly get up, her shoulders sank and she fell onto the bed once again. Then, his scalding hot body pressed down. Yiqing Luo's eyes widened in astonishment, and before she could even say a word, she was fiercely kissed by Dmo Xian. This kiss was different from the past. Instead, it was a fierce, aggressive kiss. It was as if he was really moved by Gu Yu and his feelings were aroused. Yiqing Luo was so shocked that she pushed Dmo Xian's chest. She was still on her period. Dmo Xian wouldn't be that beastly, forcefully pushing her during her menstrual period, right? However, to Dmo Xian, her struggles were merely tickling. His hand followed her body, straight down. It slid between her breasts, Yiqing Luo struggled even more fiercely. Without saying a word, Dmo Xian's fingers swept over the inside of her twin crescent breasts and pressed down hard. Oh! Yiqing Luo's body shuddered violently as her breathing stopped momentarily. Her blushing face was now flushed red, as if it was on fire. He's a heartless beast. He actually used his hands to press down on her. Lil Luo, don't try to provoke a man's self-control. Dmo Xian's low and hoarse voice revealed his deep feelings. There's still 5 more days. I will continue until you cry and beg for mercy. His lips brushed past her earlobe. It made Yiqing Luo's petite body shudder continuously. Yiqing Luo's mind went blank. Even when the man flipped over and got down from her body, she still hadn't noticed it. Looking at the completely dazed young lady, Dmo Xian smiled helplessly. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.